Are you looking for an escape from manufactured truth wrapped in selfish agenda? Don't you just want to have a real and raw conversation, all masks and rules aside? That's what you're getting here at Titan Evolution Podcast. Get rid of all the nonsense information and discuss everything under the sun without filters. Listen to real stories of real people who will put your current perspectives to the test, guide you on living the life you truly want, and see everything free from judgment and pretenses. Time to get rid of those unhealthy environments and let your authentic self shine. Here are your hosts, Travis Johnson and Carol Carpenter.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. I am Carol Carpenter, and that's my co-host Travis making those faces and being silly like he always is, and highly inappropriate at times. Our special guest today is Joel Clelland. Joel is a serial entrepreneur and influencer who has had a number of successful businesses. He has most recently served as Centric CEO, and I believe he mentioned 18 months. And Centric is a dual token cryptocurrency system working to stabilize price and provide a global borderless medium of exchange that only goes up in value with purchasing power. I hope I spit this out correctly.
That was great.
You got everything right but his last name.
I know. Cleveland?
It's
Clelland.
all good. It's all good. Yeah.
Clelland, yeah. It's
That's
all right.
one for me. You let me get away with it for years then, because I've been saying.
He's just happy that you're talking to him, let's be honest.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
true.
All right. So Joel also serves as vice chairman on the board of Project Boon, correct? Yeah,
Correct.
a nonprofit community organization in Southern California that assists underserved children, individuals, and families with food security and connections to needed services. Welcome, Joel.
Perfect. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I always forget about that Project Boon thing, but that's how we got connected years ago.
True.
No kidding. I did not
Originally.
know that.
Yeah. Why don't you tell the story, Travis?
So actually, I don't remember who introduced us, but I met Joel a couple of years ago, and he was a guest on my old show, Nonprofit Architect Podcast. And then we hit it off, and before I knew it, I was inviting him places, and him and his son Paul drove across country for my retirement party. Just really having a grand old time together. Shoot, we even hung out for a week, all three of us, at a ranch in
That's
Texas.
true. And
Yeah.
that was earlier this year. That was awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah. Life-changing moments. But
You say earlier this year, then this podcast doesn't come out till like April of next year. People are
I
like,
know.
earlier than April. Shit,
Yeah, it was
that's,
January, Actually, I met you on Facebook. You and I are a Facebook friendship
Really?
that evolved into offline. It's true.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we were, and Cece, we were moving and shaking, if you will, in the nonprofit space on Facebook. And I introduced Travis to the co-founder of Project Boon, because I was the board chair at that time.
Oh.
Yep.
And I think Chris was on your show, wasn't he, Travis?
Yeah. Chris was on the show. We get to talk about Project Boon and how they do Thanksgiving during the pandemic in Los Angeles. That was just brilliant the way that they're doing that. I absolutely love everything Chris is doing with Project Boon. It's not often that I get to say that, because I talk to a lot of nonprofit organizations that like, this is what we're doing. And I'm like, okay, good luck.
That'll last about 3 weeks.
Oh
No
God.
sustainability.
There's this
business
like this.
plan.
There's these nonprofit organizations that like they'll just jump out and down and be like, it's so amazing. It's so wonderful that none of us are even taking a paycheck. Really? None of you are taking a paycheck. I wonder just how long that organization will stay together.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's not
Yep.
sustainable.
I got to ask you, Joel. I already know the answer because I've known you for a long time, but I want to know what makes you a Titan.
Can I share something that I talked with myself about 2 days ago?
Yeah.
I was on my daily walk. I walk every single day. I believe in move it or lose it. And I was thinking about my day. And I'm not talking about the day 2 days ago. I'm just like every single day. I think what makes me a Titan is the fact that I've got certain things I do every single day. I meditate, I pray, I dial things in. I started doing daily affirmations a little while ago. That was fun. Can I share my favorite one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
That's pretty sweet. It's my worth is innate and cannot be taken away.
Yep.
My
Ooh,
worth
I like
is
that one.
innate and cannot be taken away. In addition to the movement, the mindset, that daily routine that I have, I also am pretty focused on the gym, fitness, and keeping a healthy appetite on the dietary side. So that, I mean, I think just being laser focused on health is really important, because there's always these things that seem to want to steal my time or steal our time. And it's easy to say no when you've got a badass schedule that's dialed in. You've got your time blocks and you're like, no, nobody's taking this away from me. This is my time to be who I want to be and get better every day. And I think just being relentless with my daily routine, especially from like 5 or 6 a.m. to about 10 or 11 every day, that block is mine.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to be fierce about keeping that time for yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. You're really good for anybody else, you know?
Right.
In the day, what you're speaking to is discipline. And I tell people all the time, you know, when it comes to fitness, I'm of a certain age. Don't fucking talk about it, Travis. But you know, I am.
Please see our older episodes for that answer.
But you know, we talk about this. People sit there and say, "Oh, you look great for your age. You know, how do you do it?" It's every day.
You don't look great for your age, Carol.
You just look great.
You look great. It's not great for your age.
Thank you.
Not in the slightest.
But that being said, it comes down to discipline, right? I mean, you know that in order to maintain that, you have to do it on a daily basis. So when people talk to me about working out, oh yeah, but what happens, you know, when you don't have time? I go, you make time.
Yeah, exactly.
You make time for things that are important in your life. And that includes family and friends and things that you sit there and say, I don't have time. You know, if you don't have time for the basics, how do you have time for the big things in your life?
Exactly.
Seriously, it's absurd to kind of discount it for nothing. So I tell them all the time, it's like brushing my teeth. Every morning you have to brush your teeth, right? Well, treat it like brushing your teeth. Work out.
Yeah.
Make sure you eat well.
I was thinking about that again 2 days ago, because I was considering giving up some of my morning for something else.
Ooh.
And I'm like, what are you thinking, dude? No freaking way.
Well, we're on the show. What was the thing you were considering? Maybe we can roundtable this thing.
Just a stupid job, cash flow. And I'm like, I'm not going to give up this for that, because I know that's not going to get me where I want to go. My morning is getting me where I want to go, because it makes me the person that I am. And it keeps the energy levels up.
Creativity.
Which is what I need.
Those are the times when those creative juices flow too. Like, I don't know about you, but it's usually when I'm working out, when I'm doing something else, right? And it's for me that and literally don't laugh. My epiphanies always come in the shower. And I could be working out, you know, I'll be thinking about things, but then the dotting the I part comes in the shower. I wish I could like have a recorder in there.
You should.
You can.
Right?
You can get your phone close and it's got a voice recorder.
Nah, I just like, that's my personal time. I hate it because I've done speeches in there in my head and I'm like, oh shit, that was great. I should have put it out. By the time you get out, it's turned into something totally different, you know, shit.
Well, so if you're listening to this right now, we want to know, where do your epiphanies come at? Is it in your morning routine? Is it in the shower? For me, if I'm listening to an audiobook and doing another activity that's completely innocuous, like riding a bicycle or driving a car, like I will have to pull over, pause my thing, and write down whatever the thing I just thought of, because it blocks out for me like all the chatter. I've got a lot of shit going on up here. I know there's a lot of, jovial BS and back and forth and stuff on the show, but like this thing is always fucking working. And when it's always working, you have to find a way to get it to quiet down, to allow your inner self. Like, some people do meditation. I do metal. Like I had to, no kidding, do metal on the way to work when I was younger, so I could like feed the rage monster within me. So I would already be mad instead of the people at work making me mad. This was a long time ago in the Navy. I'm not that person anymore.
Awesome.
It's not often that Carol is stunned into silence.
Rage.
Is that because you can't picture me that way at all?
No, I can't. No, I really can't.
It's evolution, man.
Yeah.
It's evolution.
Because we're still the same people we were when we were born. We just keep evolving.
Yeah.
Like my wife, the gal I married, she's a different girl today. I mean, she's still my wife. She's still the same gal, but she's changing every day.
Yeah.
And I can like hold her in place and say, no, you got to stay this, 28-year-old goddess that I married. Or I can say, no, you're growing. I'm growing. The river is flowing. This is all good.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're getting better. Hopefully.
Are you saying that she's no longer a goddess? Do I need to send this interview to her?
You can send it to her. She's a goddess.
There you go.
She's just not a 28-year-old goddess.
There's sometime, as much as we'd like to turn there's reasons we've continued to transform. And I like me now better than I liked myself in my 20s.
Yeah, no,
yes.
that's no joke. I was talking to my dad when he was older, and he said he had some cute little thing sniffing around. I was like, so are you gonna do it? This is many years ago. If his current wife is listening, way before you, I promise. And I was like, what do you think? And he was like, what the hell? Why would I do that? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, did I be dealing with the same problems I dealt with 20 years ago? I ain't got time for those problems.
All you
Perspective.
do is change problems, because at the end of the day, guess what? Those girls want the same thing your girl wants. So you're just exchanging. That's it. And then you have to train them, because it's true also on our end for girls. It's like you sit there and you go, that looks like a lot of work. Am I up for it? Yeah.
I don't want to train anybody.
I'm no longer.
I just want to model.
Projects. No longer not open to new projects. What do you mean? You guys stop working? I'm like, I'm talking about people.
Yeah. My girlfriends used to call it my stray cats, right? How many stray cats are you collecting? And I'm like, shit. And she goes, who's your new project? I'm like, shit. I guess you guys all know me pretty well. Because you see a little stray cat and you're like, oh, I'll help you. I'll take care of you. And next thing you know, there's like 3 or 4 more, and you're like, your friends think
crap.
Nuts, right?
Because you are.
Yeah, well, it consumes your time. So learning to say no, obviously, really important, kind of going full circle back to Joel. And, this is protecting your time.
Mm-hmm. It's vital.
Yeah.
Critical. What other synonym can we throw in there?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so important, damn it.
Yeah.
You gotta be like so resolved that like nobody can penetrate it with their minor bullshit.
Yeah. Well,
because that's what most of it is. And most of it just kind of slides away because it's theirs anyway. It's not mine.
Exactly. You got to protect those times fiercely. I mean, I have a boyfriend that lives in Canada, right? And he comes down for certain things like racing or my track days or whatever. But we spend a lot of time away. So when he comes down, sometimes, he'll say, well, why don't we do this? Or why don't we do that? And I'm like, no, because the time you have here is so limited. And I'm fiercely protective of our time because I know we don't have that much time. So quality time is a huge issue. And, when you start saying, oh, let's go have dinner with so-and-so this night and then meet friends the next night. And you're like, well, then where's their time with just us? Because I know once he goes back, it'll be another 2 or 3 weeks before either I go up there or he comes down here. And there was time periods, it was 6 months before we saw each other.
Mhm.
So got to be fierce about protecting that time.
I like that word.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're keeping track, our fierce counter is up to 4 on this
Wow.
episode today.
Are
Fierce.
you counting? Fierce.
You almost got us up to 10 with that, Cece.
Yeah. So it's one of those things I did as an instructor when I was teaching for the Navy. You always end up doing, it's usually an or an counter, or it ends up being a filler word counter. And fierce isn't a filler word, but throughout a conversation, if someone like a word's repeated, I'll it just pings in my head. If I hear it again, I'll ping and I'll write it down. And depending on what it is, I'll start making hash marks. I was in a meeting with a friend of mine back when he was I don't know if he was the boss of me, but he definitely outranked me. And we were at this short thing, like 15 minutes he was talking. The counter got to 115 because he said before every and after every sentence, and sometimes 2 or 3 times in the middle of a sentence.
Oh my
I
gosh.
showed it to him. I was like, dude, you got to stop. You're killing me right now with these.
One of our Toastmasters a few weeks back was like that. He's new to Toastmasters, super smart guy. But when I told him at the end, I said, you know what? I just stopped counting. I like listening to you. Oh, I don't know about that. We're just not aware of the things that we do unless somebody lets us know in a charitable way. In a kind way.
I gotta take notes
hopefully
on that for myself in a charitable way.
But at the end of the day, if people don't tell, what's a better thing to do for people? To tell them the truth or just to not say anything? If you can see that, like what you can do, like you do this, Carol. It's like you tell people in such a way to where they know now it's their responsibility if they want to get better or not.
True. It's how you frame it too. At the end of the day, think about this. Growing up in California, what's the filler word in California?
Like
hella,
so like yep.
Hella.
Mine is and.
We never did that.
I do big long ands and
and the answer is always on the ceiling, right?
Smart by holding on to that and like you're being, you're thinking and you're deep in thought and you have this great answer coming out until you give the answer and then everybody's like, yeah, he was stoned.
We waited for that.
You had us on the edge and that's what you came up with? Seriously?
Yeah, right. So let's talk about Centric. And that's actually when we all met originally. Joel was the CEO of Centric at that time. And
I was
going like absolutely crazy about it. And of course, I am like the idiot when it comes to cryptocurrency. So I remember sitting there talking to you going, I just can't figure this shit out. Like it just so beyond me. And you were so kind about the whole thing. It's okay. You'll get used to it. I'm like, guess what? Still not used to it.
This is a great time to be looking at it and learning too. I know this probably isn't going to come out to the middle of next year or whatever. We'll probably still be in crypto winter then. but for people that are into investing, obviously this is an investment, financial or any other type of advice. But like you would with traditional stocks in publicly traded companies, learn about crypto and look at accumulating it because like Buffett's accumulating Fortune 100 companies right now. Those of us in crypto are accumulating crypto.
You call it the future?
Yeah. The future of finance. I think what's going to happen, and you guys can quote me on this like 10 or 20 years from now when we look back on this podcast. There's really 2 very distinct forces in finance that are kind of growing right now. There's the traditional side, which is like your central banks, the World Bank, governments throughout the world that are kind of trying to develop, outside of the one world order, a one world currency, which will be electronic. And where that's being test marketed now in places like China and Nigeria, even in the Bahamas, actually, there's a Bahamian dollar. It's called the sand dollar. No, it's Bahamas, but it's the sand dollar, which is like their electronic version of their dollar in the Bahamas. And it's 1-to-1. Like, but the issue that a lot of us have that are on the kind of more libertarian anarchist side is that we see that as wide scale surveillance. And so what these governments and these central banks, and of course, you know, the World Bank and the powers that be, what they can do is they can turn on and off your money. And for a lot of us, that's a big concern. I don't want anybody locking me out of my bank accounts or locking me out of my money.
Well, you heard about what happened in Canada, right?
Yeah. So, but that's not the only place where that's happening.
Wait. For our listeners that don't know what happened in Canada.
Go ahead, Joel.
Cece, I want to find out what you're specifically talking about, because there's like 2 or 3 things that happened out there.
Well, yeah, but it had everything to do with the truckers, right?
Okay, that's what I thought you were talking about.
No. Yeah. So, and the fact that anybody that had anything to do with them, they froze their bank accounts.
Yeah, they froze the bank accounts, but they also, because what was happening, a lot of the donors were trying to send cryptocurrency to these truckers to help take care of their needs. Right. They shut down all of the Bitcoin and other crypto transfers. But that's just like one example. I mean, there's a lot of countries throughout the world that are doing things like that.
There was one other thing too. I think it was GoFundMe who they had raised.
Oh yeah, they froze that too.
Yeah. And GoFundMe says, we don't agree with your cause, so we're not going to give it to the truckers.
Isn't that hardcore?
Well, they've done it more than once.
But see, that's where the other side of it, this free, independent, community-based currency, which is true crypto, is an alternative to that, where it's like, okay, I think it's fine. Both can coexist. Hopefully, we know history probably tells us something differently. But at the end of the day, it's just another way to do money. And Carol, to your first question, I see it as a future of finance, because economies are already starting to develop. Markets are developing around crypto. And so what's going to happen, I think what we're going to see, like I said, like in the next 10 to 20 years or so, is we're going to see parallel economies. We've always had black markets, but I think we're going to have fully independent and autonomous markets.
Well, I treat it a lot like Eastern medicine, Western medicine. There's an alternative, right?
Yes, that's a good metaphor, I guess. Yeah. There you go.
Because, you know, at the end of the day, it's not right or wrong with either one of them. But
that's what I believe. But
if
there's
we
other
go
people that
completely
believe
cashless, I have a problem with that.
Yeah, well, clearly, right? Because everybody that grew up from an older generation, like our parents, grandparents and stuff, they can't even get their head wrapped around cryptocurrency. So they would stick with the traditional form. And I hate to say it, but the traditional form is like, they're literally raping us with fees.
But a lot of the older generation had problem with these. And now
Absolutely.
they're all using smart devices.
People don't have those. There's a lot of people. There's a huge part of the country, let alone the world, that don't have smartphones. And there is a household population that doesn't have electronics.
Right. And so cryptocurrency would be a problem for
not necessarily, because the thing is, like, what we're starting to see is you might have different statistics than I do, but we're starting to see that there are actually a flooding of smart devices globally. And even some places where you wouldn't think they would have a smartphone, in like some indigenous village somewhere in the third world, they do. And so it's definitely an opportunity for people around the world, the global unbanked, which is about 2 billion people or so, to have another way to access money and not to feel like, hey, there's this huge disparity between the haves and the have-nots.
So cryptocurrency also has merchant fees too, which is equivalent to like banking fees.
Those tend to be a lot lower though. That's the other piece that makes it attractive for merchants. And in most cases, there aren't any chargebacks, which is very attractive to merchants. So obviously that is evolving. And I think what's going to end up happening in that sector is there's going to be some type of a way to have chargebacks, hey, I didn't really want this, and be able to return it and get your crypto back. But at the current time, merchants are very happy to take crypto because they've got two ways they can take it. They can either just take the crypto right to their crypto wallet and they can hold it. Again, no chargebacks, or they can get paid out in their local fiat currency, whatever it happens to be, the USD or euro or whatever. So the customer can pay in crypto and the merchant can get paid out in fiat. But Travis, I had a question about you. I think you have some data that I don't have, but you're also asking about cash. Like, why don't you want cash to fully go away? I'm just kind of curious.
I don't particularly care, but I know there's people in the US that are homeless that may not have access to that. Then are they going to stand out on a corner and someone's going to go by with their NFC on their phone and tap their phone
QR code, the QR code.
You know what I mean? Like,
no, I do. I agree with you.
My only concern, not that I care if whatever the currency is, it can be like Oreos or some shit. I don't care. Right. But if a population just simply can't have access to it, then it's not any different than what we're experiencing now with the government's ability to shut it off.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I think what we're starting to see too is the whole share economy of like the Gen Z millennials, and then Gen Alpha is very much into sharing everything. They're not possessive of things or money. And, you know, you see this with rideshare and all kinds of things. Oh, I don't want to own anything. I just want to be able to get from point A to point B. I think what's going to end up happening is there's enough charitably minded people out there that will help fill in the gaps. There's always going to be issues where people aren't getting the services they need. Mm-hmm. But I believe that people like us are going to show people there's another way. You know, this person's hungry, we get them food. This person doesn't have clothing or they don't have shelter. Let's take care of that.
But don't you think this is a double-edged sword though, too, Joel? I mean, we grew up, you know, where our parents taught us, you work hard, you make money, you don't depend on the government, you don't depend on anybody, right? Mm-hmm. Be self-sufficient. And if we are helping people, what's their motivation?
That's a good question.
More, you know, and that's where I kind of feel like we're doing them a great injustice by not giving them a reason to be better than they actually are. Because if you want to live in mediocrity or even less than that, you can do that. But there are pros and cons to everything.
It's true. Yeah, it's kind of like a paycheck versus being an entrepreneur.
Right. Absolutely.
Kinda. But what I've been in these conversations here recently is not the fact that they don't want to buy a house, buy a car, buy any of that stuff. They just grew up hearing the generation, like you mentioned, that, you know, work hard and save your money. And then if you work for a company for 30 years, you can maybe pay off your home. And they're looking at it and saying, that's great and all. And I'm glad you all are saying that, but this shit ain't working. So why would we follow your advice when it's clearly not the right model?
Right. Well, but that's why we chose to be entrepreneurs, right? At the end of the day, because we don't want to do the conventional route. We know it doesn't work.
Right. That's for us, but not everyone listening is an entrepreneur.
Right.
It's true.
Right. Changing people's mindsets, maybe.
Everybody needs clean water, though.
Yeah. Very, very true. The necessity
and food. Right.
So the basic.
So I don't know how California is struggling with water. Have you guys seen what they're doing in Israel?
No.
With their desalination plants? Like, Israel is a tiny sliver of a country.
Cool.
But they're desalinizing. They're taking the salt out of the ocean, the Mediterranean water right there, and running it through purity. Like, California is almost completely dependent on the Colorado River and like if it rains or not. And there's no, as far as I know, no effort to desalinize the water that's
the Pacific,
up and down their coast that they have access to.
I know. I agree.
What's the deal?
Sometimes I wonder about the leaders in our state and in our country and in our world. I'm like, are you thinking about the people you air quotes serve? Are you thinking about the big picture?
No.
Or are you just getting endorsements?
Well, and it's clear that's not happening. I mean, there's lobbyists that are doing things for financial reasons, right? And there is, who is it I was speaking to? Ben Lloyd. I don't know if you guys know Ben Lloyd.
I've met him.
Okay. So he is in with Alpha Water, and they do a lot of purification with water to make cities have good drinking water for their citizens, right? Their locals. And he is struggling to help the guy from Alpha Water, go to from Mayor Robert, right? And get it done, because they can't get over the sticker shock. But the sticker shock is a lot less than other places. So it makes you wonder, why are you going with a higher price ticket product that might not necessarily work, then go for another one that's less, but you're going to complain about sticker shock unless there's somebody involved, like a family member or somebody that's, gaining.
That's a quick visit to the news media.
Right. So it's interesting to me why people like Alpha Water can't go to these government municipalities and go, hey, this is like the best option for you guys, because you're struggling with being able to provide enough water for your city, state, whatever. It's interesting to me that they can't get this shit done.
I agree. You're preaching to the choir, Cece.
Yeah. Just saying.
At least my choir.
Yeah. So, as we mentioned earlier, we met when you were the CEO of Centric, and now you're no longer the CEO. How is that internal journey going for you, from being the CEO of a crypto company to no longer being the CEO?
It's going well. I think the fact that I spend so much time focusing on what I have versus what I don't have is probably half the battle for me, and having my dreams. I still have massive goals. I was getting ready for this show and I was thinking about nutty big. I think if I put the nuts after the big, that doesn't sound right. So, but nutty big goals. Having nutty big goals is super important.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are things that my wife and I want to do. There's things that I want to do. And I think kind of focusing, laser focusing on the things that we want to do is what keeps me moving.
Talk about.
But yeah, I mean, it was a letdown, but it's like, I'm not dead. I'm here to do some work. And why am I here? And answering that question.
And let's discuss this. I mean, that's a speed bump, right? I mean, every
speed bump
life goes through speed bumps and times and periods of transition. And if we can view it as from a place of abundance versus scarcity, right?
Yep.
I think so many things can happen because there's a reason you're going through that speed bump. Maybe there's something bigger and better around the corner. Maybe it's going to allow you to refocus and really find that one thing that you want to create. And this was your time period to kind of, I don't know, maybe collaborate with people, get those ideas intact, and then really go for it. Whereas if you had continued working for the company, you would have had no time to even think about it. So there are reasons for all these things to happen. So sometimes instead of thinking about, oh shit, this sucks. Hey, you know what? It's time.
Opportunity.
Opportunity. Exactly.
Yep. Yeah. No, I totally agree. It's interesting. I found out on a Monday, and the Thursday before that Monday, I had started a 9-day course that I was in. It was like a high level, like training course, mindset course. And I found out right in the middle of that course that I was being replaced. And so I spent, no. So I mean, you're never surprised at that level that, change happens. People, companies go in a different direction, if you will. But I spent the next 4 days or so of that particular course I was in, that training, just kind of reflecting. I was like, this is cool. This couldn't have happened at a better time because I'm actually in this situation with people, and they weren't our people. But they were people that are like us in a lot of ways, and they kind of approach life differently. It's like things are happening for me, not to me.
Yeah.
And, we have a friend named Aaron, and he talks about things flowing into him and through him. It's like,
yeah.
I'm part of this existence.
Yeah.
But I'm an active participant. I'm not a spectator.
Right.
And so I spent those next few days thinking, well, what do I want to do? What don't I want to do? Within the C-suite, next time I'm in a role like this, do I want to be a CIO or a CFO? No, I don't. I want to be a CEO or a COO with an amazing team. Yeah. Or a co-founder. Right. And there's some things that I'm working on, which is kind of fun because it's like I can continue to tinker while I continue to reflect on my dreams.
Yeah.
And then finding out ways to monetize my dreams. That's something I'm working on too.
Well, that's the goal for everybody is to monetize those dreams so you can actually make your dreams, your life and things that you're passionate about, to have a company or an idea that you can make money from and it's a passion of yours. Fuck, you never really are working because this is what you love.
Yep. So anyway, so it's good. It's good. I mean, I think we're now 2 months ago now, I was told that things are changing. And I'm like, things are always changing.
So
but I'm still on as an advisor in the background, working with Centric and assisting them as I can. I still try to get workflow to them. If it comes to me and it's for them, I try to make those connections. And I'm friendly. I'm friendly with the founders. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd expect that because I don't expect you to be unfriendly to anybody, but just because I know you. But,
right.
Are you in essence like a consultant for them or an
kind of
advisor?
the project, we use the term project in crypto, but the company has a number of advisors. I'm one that's kind of a silent one. So silent advisor assisting the CEO. He and I have a good working relationship. We talk periodically. I'm still very well connected with the C-suite and the founders. And we'll see what the future brings. The cool thing about Centric is it's a massive undertaking that's years in development. And even though they have a fully deployed and executed product, it's going to have a lot of moving parts in the coming years. And I suspect I'll be involved with Centric in some capacity, probably indefinitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I'm doing my own things too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We've talked offline about stuff like what you're doing and stuff, and I find it really interesting. Do you want to divulge some of it?
Sure. I mean, I can go high level. I have a couple of people that I'm working with in the background that are still kind of in the Web3 space. Won't be very specific about what that is, but I'm still open to speaking before groups on Web3 and educating people on crypto and blockchain, the metaverse, things like that. I also have 2 script writing teams that are pitching their scripts to film, and we're in motion pictures. And haven't been in that business previously, but I know a few people, and I'm doing what I can to assist those 2 teams. It's cool too because they're both totally different genres. Like one is more like drama, contemporary, romance. It's got some of that mixed in, and then the other one is it's almost like a Marvel Comics type of a thing. I mean, it's like this dystopian future world with, in animation and voice actors make, like a murder thriller / Dragnet. So like if you could take like Dragnet, like law enforcement and mix in like robots and blood, that's what it's going to be. But it's kind of cool. Like looking at this new world. Cause I came from the music industry. I was like over a decade in like rock and roll and music space. And it's interesting because one of the 2 script writing teams, one of the 2 main guys on that team, we used to play together. Oh. And so like he came from the music industry, but now he's fancies himself a writer. And the great thing about both of these teams is they've got lots of projects. It's not just the scripts that we're pitching right now. So they're developing their own like entertainment companies. And Cece, I know you've kind of got some experience with that. And it's cool to see very creative people really making a good go of it. But it's not easy work. I'm starting to figure that part out too.
Industry is
not an easy industry.
Tough industry to be in.
And you got to see, hey, what are they looking for? Are they looking for what we're bringing to the table or not? And that piece is
also how you pitch it and frame it.
It's true.
I think that's the key. If you're looking for it, and also who I mean, sometimes you can make mistakes. They're a little bit more forgiving if you know somebody when you do the explanation and the pitch. Yep. But it is a difficult industry because they see so much shit come through the table that you have like seconds to catch your attention.
Right. Yeah. I was at this thing 2 weeks ago, and the gentleman who's presenting, he's kind of a household name, but he was talking about sizzle reels. And I'm like, okay, I think I know what that is, but how's that going to help my teams? And is it in the budget? Just all those kinds of things where it's like, you want to make sure everything is dialed in as good as it can be.
Concise, and it has to catch attention the whole time. I know that they're doing that now for websites. So even websites, web designers are now doing what they call quote unquote sizzle reels about your company. There's just so many things these days because I hate to say this, but everybody's got ADD, it feels like in the world.
Or ADHD, right?
ADHD, whatever, both.
Yeah.
I combine them.
There's too many options.
Yeah. So if you can't catch somebody's attention, right? Why do you think Instagram does so well? Nobody gives a shit about what you write. They want to see a video.
Really fast.
Quick. When you're explaining the blood and the robots, I just pictured like a British person's response. Bloody robots. You're having to see about bloody robots. I was like, what? Like, what are we talking about right now?
We got these bloody robots over here and this little hovel over
Let's
here.
create a dragnet and catch these bloody robots.
Why don't we just forget the whole thing and we'll go get a pint?
Well, you can't even say Hubble. You got to say Hubble.
Hubble.
Yeah.
If more the Cockney persuasion.
You don't say Harry Potter overseas. It's Harry Potter. Yeah. My wife went over.
You sitting there laughing in the corner, like, what the fuck are you laughing about?
Because I immediately thought of bloody robots. Like, if someone's offended by my accent, I have no skill in that, so just deal with it. But my wife went over there for a trip, and she went like a Harry Potter tour. The gal she was with, they're all about it, and she told me the story because the guy giving the thing, he's like Harry Potter and all this stuff. And for you Americans, are like Harry Potter and
Harry Potter.
I love highlighting those little quirks about us, not because it's good or bad or I'm picking on anybody, because it's just so much fun because I know that I have them. I mean, I grew up in northern Minnesota and now I've been living in the South for 20 years. I don't sound like I'm from either place.
Yeah, you don't.
No.
You sound like you sound like you're from California or Oregon.
I don't even know. I don't even know if I'm going to respond to that.
He sounds like us, Carol, is what I'm saying.
Like
diction, dialect. People from here are so egocentric. I don't have an accent. I'm Californian.
Everyone says they don't.
Everybody has an accent.
Everyone has an accent.
Yeah, to some degree.
Yeah.
Good.
Talk to a surfer and then come back to me and tell you there's no accents in California.
True.
Cowabunga. Yeah.
So we just talked about the entertainment part of it, but there's also gaming. We talked about
correct.
Gaming.
We did. We can. I'll just kind of put a little blanket thing out there and then we can move on. I see the billions and billions and billions of dollars that are in gaming and how that's going to go up to trillions. Mm-hmm. And that Gen Alpha, Gen Z, and generations coming up, don't be surprised if half the population isn't making most of their money in gaming.
Oh, without a doubt. My sons both of my sons are in gaming, right? It's pretty fucking donkulous. Plus, there's a lot of educational stuff that's going into gaming these days.
Right.
So even Reggie we'll talk to you about that. Also, David, they're part of that whole movement. So
and it's so young. The whole space is very, very young. We're early in the space. A lot of times people think, oh, I'm investing in, what am I investing in? I feel like I missed it. And none of that applies here because it's constantly evolving. There's constant development in that space. And is Zuckerberg going to be the guy who's the most successful? I don't know. But I don't think so, because there are so many companies out there that are moving forward with different ways that you can gamify life and make money. So there's play to earn, there's move to earn. There's like 50 apps for, Travis, that thing we were at in San Diego a few weeks ago when one of the speakers was talking about this, there's like 50 apps where you, just by walking, you're getting paid crypto. So there's lots of ways out there to make money.
Because I don't walk.
In Web3. Well, you could do something else. You could work out your fingers.
Oh, I can definitely work out my fingers. Like, these guys are in shape. I do my exercises with them every morning.
Digital calisthenics.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, up, down, left, right. We talked a little bit about what your journey was after Centric, which was pretty benign because your mindset is so rock solid and your routine's amazing. Was it always so rock solid, so amazing?
You talking about throughout my life?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's more.
That's where we're going.
Last 3 months.
That's
There's
true.
At least 4 months of material in there.
I've had depression in the past. I'm a pretty positive person.
Yeah.
And I like to think that things are going to get better because the alternative is so dark. Because if I spend time thinking the future's not bright, it's not going to get better, I wouldn't even be on the show with you guys, because I'd just be having a pity party somewhere.
That's 100%. But
I can drink without the pity party. Speaking of drinking, that's true. That's right.
Yeah.
But speaking of drinking, I thought I was an alcoholic years ago. And so I went to an addictionist, and I always tell people, if you think you're an addict, whether it's alcohol or drugs or prescription pain meds, whatever it happens to be, go talk to a doctor that specializes in that before you put that diagnosis on yourself. I went to an addictionist, and I didn't know this before going to him, but most addiction doctors are addicts. most of them, seriously,
you gotta try before you buy.
Or drug addicts. Yeah. So they have the experience and they can help you sort things out. And for me, he said, Joel, you're not an alcoholic. You just drink too much. And you also, when you're emotional, you drink more, which is not healthy for you. So he said, so when you're in a bad place or you're emotional or upset or whatever, don't go to the bar.
Yeah.
Go to the gym.
That's where the alcohol is, Joel.
Go to the gym, or whatever, and you decide for yourself how you want to live your life. And if you don't enjoy blacking out, if you don't enjoy waking up with a headache, you have some level of control over that. It's not something that you need.
Yeah, there's alternatives for sure. But isn't it funny that it's almost, I think it's because we grew up in California. Like I remember hanging out with my friends. What is there to do in your free time? Everybody goes to the bar, shoots pool, and drinks your asses, and
that's not just a California thing, let me tell you.
California coolers.
Yeah, oh God, those things gave me headaches, man. Those things were horrible. Sugar in a bottle.
What does the doctor
with a little
say
bit of alcohol
in this situation? Like, last time I was on Smack, this is what happened in my life. Is that what the doctor? Like, that's the
you know what he
did?
No, Travis, what he did with me, he knew how to talk with me, and I love stories. I love stories, and so he started telling me his stories, and I was like, well, holy shit, I've never had that happen, or I don't feel like I need to be drinking.
Yeah.
I just
Joel
need to
does when
be
he's
aware.
blackout drunk is none of Joel's business.
That's right. I'm blacked out. No, but for me, I think that was really helpful to me because he was telling me his story, and in his story, I couldn't identify myself with his stories.
Mm.
And so that was just the prescription I needed,
Right.
was knowing that I don't identify with that.
Right.
I'm not an angry drunk. I'm, like Kid Rock and some of these other guys, happy drunk or whatever.
Oh my God. I hug everybody.
Yeah, but I love you, man. But at the end of the day, I can decide what that means for me in my life. And now I'm preparing for a Spartan race in December. And so I'm like, well, I think I'm probably going to be drinking less, if at all.
Well, and that's for us, like even riding motorcycles, right? We don't drink.
Right.
Because even close to a race, we don't drink, or at least ones that really give a shit don't drink, because
those who give a shit.
Right.
Right.
Well, at what age did you discover that water was the adult beverage?
I think it was once I started having hangovers, probably.
The whole thing, you want to get up, I want to be adult so I can do whatever I want. And you try it and you're like, this is terrible. And then you find out the real adults
are drinking water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know,
well, you're talking about
Jody Cena, by the way, from Spartan?
Who?
Not personally.
Jody Cena, the owner of Spartan?
No.
That's someone we got to have on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a crazy story.
I just know my team determined.
Team determined.
Well, and it's what you
and it's not my team. I'm on the team, but I didn't start it. So I'll be there helping.
How many people on your team, Joel?
We got 12 so far. I don't think we're going to have many more. But we're doing a 5K sprint. That's not the hard part, with 20 obstacles. So the 20 obstacles with the 5K, that's where the challenge is going to come in, because you got all these, and it's a co-ed team. So our co-ed team is going to be lifting cabers together. We're going to be scaling things, steeplechase, running through mud. I mean, just like all that stuff that you see.
Are you guys training together, or are you training?
I haven't gotten any memos on that, so I'm doing my own training. I'm sticking with what I do, which is move every day and go to the gym every other day. So I do resistance training 3 to 4 times a week, sometimes 5. I move every day.
How do you know everybody else is following the same type of
I don't know. Maybe I'll be the weakest link. Maybe I'll be the strongest link. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not worried about it. I'm just concerned with me. Yeah. And I know, like, one of the people in there is one of my coaches for fitness and nutrition. And he and his wife are beasts. Okay. So they're ready. I'll be keeping up with them. The person who founded Team Determined, I know she's pretty serious, and she's done Spartan races.
So you're telling me you're coming.
I'm just not familiar with everybody else.
That's what you're telling me.
I'm not telling you anything, Travis. You can read whatever you want into that.
But we'll find out.
I'm just looking forward to it.
Live results of.
That's right. That's right. The 10th of December, before Christmas. So, and I know this isn't going to come out till next year, probably. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. That's true. You guys are in control of the schedule.
Yeah, we can do whatever the hell we want.
That's right.
Running this shit.
I love it.
We can do whatever the fuck we want.
Nice.
Your will be the first episode that comes out in 2025.
Woo! Woo! All right, guys. Well, this next video portrays somebody who's actually passed away 2 years ago. If you want to see his final resting
the world
place,
of the bloody robot's going to get you.
Final resting place.
You had to go there. God damn.
I do have a dark side. I don't say that I don't. I just don't reside there.
The bloody robots are going to get you.
And you know what, Cece, I'm not afraid to die. I'm not afraid of death.
Well,
I don't fear it.
I think at the end of the day, we don't get to choose when our ticket gets punched. So if we live every day the way we choose to live it and want to live it,
you have
no reason to feel sorry about whenever you go, right? Because
it's true.
essentially you've done what you've wanted to do up to that point. So
Mm-hmm.
why stop thinking about dying or being afraid of dying? Fucking do whatever you want. Be happy.
Yep. I agree.
That's
Just
an
don't
interesting
do it.
lead in. Does doing whatever you want result in happiness?
Depends.
I guess,
on
yeah,
what
depends.
you
That's what I was
want,
going to say.
right?
Mhm.
Potentially alcoholic Joel didn't find happiness when he was doing whatever he wanted.
That's true.
Yeah, but I think everybody goes through those stages. Everybody has stages they have to go through. And
I
it's-
disagree.
you know, you don't think
Ooh.
so? You don't think
No.
you have to go through some hardships to go, yeah, that sucks. But then
I
find out
think maybe for for survival's sake, people
Mhm.
go through that, Carol. But I mean, the reason that there are diamonds in the rough and the reason the 1% is the 1% is because some people do more of that than others. Some people do it so that they can remain comfortable and alive. Others do what they know they need to do and stop doing what doesn't serve them so they can thrive.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But that's just an opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here at the Titan Evolution Podcast, we do not care about your opinion. No. That's all this show is experiences.
That's
and
right.
stories and opinions.
That's true.
That's the whole
But
thing.
Travis, you're the one who brought it up. You brought
I
it up.
wanted
You
to
brought it.
know.
Is
I
it
wanted to
always
know.
good to just do what you think? Not if it doesn't serve you.
Yeah,
If it doesn't serve you, don't do it.
Yeah.
absolutely. That's a behavior as opposed to something happening to you.
Correct.
But do things happen to us or for us?
It depends. It really depends. Like, is going through abuse at a childhood, is that happening for you?
And at what age do we decide things aren't happening to us anymore?
Well, I know a lot of people, a lot of different ages that haven't made that decision yet. I'll tell you that right now.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
I can picture them now working a terrible job, coming home to their dumpy house, earning enough to drink on the weekend, and then wondering on Monday why they don't have any money and their life sucks.
Yep. Make a change, buddy. Make a change.
Mm-hmm.
It's the crown
Yes.
method, right, Joel?
Yeah. Wasn't that I think you gave us that presentation, didn't
yeah.
you? Do you remember that, Carol?
I don't.
She wasn't there. She doesn't know about the crown method. She said, I'm going to stay up in Washington. I'm not going.
what are we
I thought you shared that one in Texas. When did I see you do that one for the first time?
Well, I made it up that morning. So definitely in California.
Oh, right. Yeah. So Carol wouldn't have seen that. Carol,
No.
Travis was out here in California. Was it a couple months ago, I guess, for something?
Yeah.
And the crown method.
3 years ago by the time we released this show.
I know, right? Yeah. It'll be the first one in 2027.
Hey, look,
pushing it out.
it'd be a great show for our first show in the 30s. Absolutely.
There you
I
go.
thought your presentation was great.
Okay,
That's it.
crown method. I want to hear it.
So yeah, absolutely. So I was billed to talk about podcasting, but the room wasn't interested in hearing about podcasting. So I talked about my story. Those listening, if you haven't listened yet, I did an interview with Carol, and Carol did an interview with me. You can check out our stories in the past episodes. We talked about how terrible my childhood was, and all of this stuff happened. But it wasn't until I made the choice to change my life, to take responsibility, and to own my life going forward that anything changed. It wasn't until that moment happened and the continued dedication to owning my life. So the C is the choice, R is responsibility, because, hey, I know we're in a, what do we call it? Like a recession right now. Like we are, but that
Big
doesn't
time.
dictate.
We are, but it's going to
Doesn't-
get worse. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
but that
heard.
doesn't dictate whether you do or don't have money. It doesn't dictate
Right.
whether you do or don't have health. It doesn't dictate how well your business does. It might initially take a hit, but it's up to you to pivot, right? And then
Mhm.
owning the decisions you make going forward. When I look
Mhm.
at how people can go through terrible things, because I went through with my sister, and my life turned out largely pretty well, and hers turned out largely to be a big heaping steaming pile. And it's because of choices. She never took responsibility for her part in any of the things that happened. And the big kind of takeaway was like, there's no magical response. There's no magical apology that's going to come through and fix your life. There's no one that's going to come save you. A dip or a turn in the stock market your favor isn't going to change your situation. It has to do with you, what you allow in your life. The same things Joel was talking about earlier. Where's your mindset at? Is your outlook? Where's your gratitude? Have you made a sizzle reel about your life and get you hyped every day about how wonderful your shit is? When I share with people the most terrible things in my life, like I talked to David Carter again this weekend, and he's like, every time I talk to you, Travis, like time just melts away. We could be on the phone for 3 hours and I would have no idea because I'm just so captivated by all the stuff that you're saying. And you tell these terrible stories. And he's like, I know you got a smile on your face. That shit's a victory smile because you know that shit's not going to get you anymore. And that's one of the main drivers and reasons we started the show. And if you're listening to this and struggling, you got to decide to not struggle anymore. Are you still going to have challenges? Oh, yeah. Is there going to be road bumps? You betcha. Is there going to be barricades that you might have to go around, navigate, or turn around? Absolutely. But if you let the situation dictate you, it's going to be terrible. And you already know this because you can look back throughout your life and you've seen all the terribleness. The reason it was so bad isn't because the thing happened. Is the thing awful? It probably is. Yeah. I'm not going to sit and pretend that
probably sucks.
It probably sucks. The big one. I've lost someone. You got abused. Some terrible thing.
You know, if you keep accepting it, you keep repeating a pattern, right? So if you take accountability and go, I'm fucking done with this shit. I'm getting off this ride. It's fucking crazy. And I don't want to repeat it again.
But Carol, I can't get my mom out of my life. It's my mom. Yes, you fucking can. Mom, I am not okay with this. This is not acceptable behavior. I love the fact that you're mom, but I'm not talking to you until you get your act together.
By the way, that's just drawing boundaries and being very
yes.
those boundaries.
But those stories, those things, those situations I hear repeated in perpetuity everywhere I go into. I hear like, well, it's your mom. You can't say that to your mom. Well, it gives them the right to say whatever they said to you.
Right.
Yeah, that's a tough pill.
Let's not pretend.
I think there's a mentality too. I mean, I joke because I have two kids that were raised by the same parents exactly the same way, right? Yet they are polar opposites of each other. Mm-hmm. And I always wondered, like my brother and I, we're polar opposites of each other too. And I'm like, how the fuck that happened? Same parents.
And me and my sister. Absolutely.
Right. But I have one son that takes accountability for his actions. And then my other son plays the victim card. It's everybody.
So, I tried using my victim card at Walmart and it turns out they wouldn't let me take the groceries home.
Did they decline you?
Yeah.
Well, I declined myself because it was self-checkout. So. I got to report to my shift later to unload my own truck too.
That's great. Yeah, but it's funny, isn't it? When you think about it, you have one that's accountable, the other one that plays a victim. Now, if you want to play the victim, go ahead. Keep playing victim. See how that works out for you. God bless you. What did we say earlier? What were our basic fuck yous to everybody, right?
Say the fuck away from me.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Said, that's interesting.
Oh, good for you. Oh, that's interesting.
That's
interesting. And Carol's was blessed.
Yeah,
blessed.
If you're in the South, it's bless your heart. For those of you who don't know about Southern U.S., if someone says bless your heart, it's not a compliment. They say they're basically saying the nicest way possible that everyone understands you're the biggest idiot in the room. But they don't say that because
you don't want them to bless your heart. You want them to
bless
say
your heart, and you walk away.
What else
good.
Can I do for you, my baby? That's what you want. My baby. When people first started saying my baby to me in the South, I thought they were trying to get fresh with me. But that's just them being nice.
I tell you, it's the moment you mentioned that, my friend Miss Patty popped up into my head because that's exactly something that
she says.
Yeah.
Anything else I can get for you, my baby?
Baby, darling, honey, sweet pea, sweet thing. But it's just like the nicest. Like, I love it. Even though I'm not a fan of the word nice, it's very pleasant.
They sugarcoat it. Very sweet.
Very
sweet.
Very sweet, like their tea. Their tea comes standard with like 8 pounds of sugar in it.
Do you have enough sugar in there?
Well, I mean, I'm from the north. You can get iced tea. But you got to sweeten it yourself if you want to sweeter. Down south, the standard tea is sweet tea.
Holy crap. No thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
you
working-
you lifted it up and you see the granules in the bottom.
That's called a feature, Joel. I don't know what the problem
That's true. Okay. Sorry. Spartan race.
That's right.
Spartan race.
Stay focused. Stay focused.
Awesome.
You got to focus on your goals. Hey, Joel, if someone's listening to this thing and they're struggling, what kind of advice would you have for them?
Remember the power of next. If you're stuck, do whatever is next. If you're broke, go find money. Like Uncle G, Grant Cardone always says, go get that cheddar. Doesn't matter how you get it.
Yeah.
Hopefully by legitimate means.
Right.
Power of
Legal
the-
means, please.
But the power of next, while we were talking, something came to my mind. In addition to the power of next, never forget. Never forget why you are where you are now, and never forget what happened in the past. Just don't live there and do what's next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that.
Always move forward.
There's a book by Dr. Spencer Johnson and somebody else called Who Moved My Cheese? And
I love that book.
It's a great book.
It is
They go, it's two rats, like him and Ha, and they go through the maze and they go to one place and there's cheese for them every day. And every day they go there, they eat their fill, they're happy, they go home day after day. And one day they go there and the cheese is gone. Who moved my cheese? One of the mice, I can't remember who it is, him or Ha, one of the two, says, well, I'm just going to go further and keep looking. He's on to the next. Not here. I got to go find it. The other one goes back and he's just waiting for the cheese to be there. Like, I don't understand where it went. There. And he goes back over and over and over again. It's never there. Meanwhile, the other mouse is through the maze onto the next, I don't know, mother load of cheese or whatever have you. And the story is like, why is that mouse not going? Why isn't he going for it? Why is he waiting for that thing to come back? And you see this in people, right? My husband left, my wife left. I don't know what to do anymore. It sucks. Yeah, absolutely sucks. Right. But there's no, she ain't coming home. There ain't no cheddar coming back to the house. You got to go out and get it. You got to find the next one.
Yeah. Power of next.
Power of next. I love it, Joel. Hey, where can the folks get a hold of you?
I'm on LinkedIn, Joel Clelland on LinkedIn. Not hard to find. I think there's a few of us out there, but I'm the best looking one. Obviously. And then I'm also very active on Twitter, at Real Clelland on Twitter, and love to connect with you or not. I don't care. That's up to you. If there's any fractional CEO positions out there, I'm willing to work an equity deal with you.
Awesome.
Put that in the background there. I like the concept of fractional.
Yeah, I can't do everything for you. I'm gonna do the slice inside my zone of genius, and then you figure out the rest.
Yeah, if I like your product, if I like your mission, I can make it my own. I'm down.
Yeah.
But yeah, LinkedIn and Twitter. I'm on other socials, but those are the ones I use the most.
Yeah, I can't tell you a social I use less than Twitter. I don't get it. I don't know why it's popular. It's not my thing. I don't care.
Well, in all honesty, my friend, I had to try it twice before I finally got it. Because the first time I got it, I was in a bad mood. This was like 10 years ago or something. And so I got on it and got off it in a hot minute. But then when was it? December of 2019.
There she was.
December of no. What do people do at the end of December leading into January every year?
Buy presents.
Okay. New Year's resolutions, right? Which we know those don't work anyway. But I was doing one for Twitter and I'm like, what the heck? I'm going to give it the old college try. January 1st, I'm going to get back on Twitter. So January 1st, 2018 or whatever that was, 2020.
Sure.
Yeah, whatever it was. I got on there.
That was before COVID. That's a long time ago.
It was before COVID. 2 months later, I was active every day. Twitter rebranded me because I was at Joel Douglas Clelland, my full name, at Joel Douglas Clelland on Twitter. And 2 months after that, they rebranded me as at Real Clelland.
Wow. You have to be that. How good do you have to be for them to rebrand you as the real
I don't know. I did a video about it. I thought it was funny, but it's probably stupid. I said, well, aren't there's other Clellands out there that are real too, right? I did that whole thing.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
but I was the one who got it. I got the marker. So there you go.
Bless your heart, Joel. That's all for today.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Look forward to seeing you next week.
That's all for this episode of Titan Evolution Podcast. We hope this no-holds-barred conversation opened your eyes on what it takes to live a genuinely happy life according to your own terms. Now that you've treated yourself to such a refreshing discussion, you cannot listen to nonsense content anymore. Be sure not to miss an episode by subscribing to the show at TitanEvolutionPodcast.com. Don't forget to share the word so more people can be enlightened, informed, and entertained. Thank you for listening.